In 2011, 17 automobiles were transported under armed guard to Paris and installed inside the Louvre. Not as exhibits borrowed from another museum, not as historical artifacts, as the private property of one man, a fashion designer from the Bronx who grew up in a two-bedroom apartment and spent his career building one of the most recognizable brands in the world. The curator of the exhibition, Rodolphe Rapetti, was asked why cars belonged in the Louvre. His answer was precise. Cars are a work of art and not just an object of utility. Of all the things we use every day, the car is the one we most care about, and the one that concentrates the maximum of technology and design. The cars that filled those rooms were not the most expensive vehicles ever made. They were something rarer than that. They were the most beautiful. This is the story of how Ralph Lauren built a collection that the Louvre considered worthy of its walls. The eye behind the collection. Ralph Lauren did not start with money. He started with taste. He grew up in the Bronx, the son of Jewish immigrants from Belarus. His father was a house painter. His mother raised 4 children in a modest apartment. By the time he was 12, he was buying his own suits. Not because his family could afford them, but because he understood, earlier than almost anyone around him, that the way things looked mattered. That instinct eventually built a global empire. But it also built something more private, a collection of automobiles assembled over 50 years on a single principle that he has articulated many times in interviews. He does not buy cars because they are valuable. He buys them because they are extraordinary. True luxury, as one commentator on his collection put it, is not about quantity, but curation. Lauren's garage currently holds over 70 vehicles, estimated to be worth between $600 million and $700 million. But the number that matters more is this. His collection has been exhibited at Boston's Museum of Fine Arts, at the Musée des Arts Décoratifs inside the Louvre, and at the Via d'Este Concours in Italy. These are not car shows. They are institutions that exist to preserve and display the greatest works of human creativity. Ralph Lauren's cars qualified. The 1938 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, the most beautiful object ever made. There are 4 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantics in existence. Jean Bugatti, son of the founder, kept one for himself. The 4th disappeared during the Second World War. 3 remain. Ralph Lauren owns one of them. It is known as the Pope Atlantic, named after its first owner, the Briton R.B. Pope. The body is formed from hand-beaten aluminium, riveted along a central spine that runs the full length of the car. A construction technique Jean Bugatti borrowed from aircraft engineering because the metal was too hard to weld. The shape that resulted from this constraint is one of the most extraordinary forms ever placed on 4 wheels. A teardrop body, sweeping fenders, a roofline that curves with the logic of something alive rather than manufactured. Lauren's example won Best of Show at the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance in 1990 and again at Villa d'Este in 2013, 2 of the most prestigious automotive events in the world. Its restoration was carried out by Paul Russell, considered one of the finest classic car restorers alive. If it were to come to auction today, it would almost certainly become the most expensive car ever sold, surpassing even the $142 million paid for a Mercedes-Benz 300 SLR Uhlenhaut in 2022. Many consider it the most beautiful car ever made. Lauren does not appear to have any intention of selling it. Some things are beyond that conversation. The 1930 Mercedes-Benz SSK Count Trossi. Built for an aristocrat, restored for a museum, the Count Trossi. Mercedes-Benz SSK was designed for Italian aristocrat and racing driver Count Carlo Felice Trossi, and is one of fewer than 40 ever built. It has an elongated body with swept-back fenders and a tapered tail that the Top Gear correspondent who saw it at the Louvre described as loosening his jaw so completely it hit the floor. Its flamboyant Art Deco design, supercharged engine, and racing provenance make it one of the defining pre-war automobiles. When it was displayed at the Louvre, it greeted visitors at the entrance, the first thing they saw walking in. Not because it was the most historically significant car in the room, but because nothing else had the same immediate, physical impact. This is what Lauren's collection does that most private garages cannot. It understands drama. It understands that the way you encounter an object changes what you think of it. The 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO, the car that racing made perfect. Lauren's 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO is chassis 3987 GT, an early example from October 1962 with 4 first-place finishes in its racing history. He purchased it in the 1980s for $300,000. Its current value, based on comparable sales, is somewhere above $70 million. But the price is almost beside the point. The 250 GTO is significant because it was the last car Enzo Ferrari personally approved for competition before regulations changed and ended the era that made Ferrari mythological. Only 39 were built. Each one raced hard. Each one carries a history that no amount of money can manufacture. The 250 GTO was included in the Louvre exhibition alongside the Atlantic, not as a rare object, but as a document, a record of what human beings were capable of when given complete freedom to solve a problem through design. The problem was how to win races. The solution happened to be one of the most beautiful shapes ever drawn. The 1938 Alfa Romeo 8C 2900 Mille Miglia. The car almost nobody discusses. This is the vehicle that reveals the depth of Lauren's knowledge beyond the famous names. In 1938, the Turin factory collaborated with Carrozzeria Touring to create a limited series of 4 two-seater roadsters for the 1938 Mille Miglia race. Lauren owns one of them, the car that placed second in the race, piloted by the Pintacuda Mambelli team, still wearing its original competition number. Its teardrop-shaped wings contribute to its exceptional design, cementing its status as one of the most esteemed pre-war Grand Touring Alfa Romeos. In 2005, Lauren showcased this restored Mille Miglia at the Speed, Style, and Beauty exhibition at Boston's Museum of Fine Arts. It is the kind of car that specialists know and the general public does not, which is precisely the point. Lauren's collection does not exist to impress people who read the price tags. It exists to move people who understand what they are looking at. The 1955 Jaguar XKSS, the car that survived a fire. Lauren's 1957 Jaguar XKSS survived after the carmaker's shop burned and the fire destroyed 9 out of the 25 vehicles produced and the tooling needed to make them. The XKSS was Jaguar's attempt to convert its Le Mans-winning D-Type racing car into a road vehicle. It had a proper windscreen, a rudimentary hood, a luggage rack. It was, by the standards of 1957, a barely domesticated race car. 16 were completed before the fire. The tooling that would have produced the remaining 9 was destroyed along with them. The car Lauren owns is therefore not merely rare in the conventional sense. It is rare in the way that surviving manuscripts are rare, because the circumstances that would have produced more of them no longer exist. It cannot be recreated. It can only be preserved. He preserved it. The McLaren F1 LM, where history meets engineering. Ralph Lauren owns one of only 5 McLaren F1 LMs, sold to customers, built as a tribute to the 5 McLaren F1 GTR cars that dominated the 1995 24 Hours of Le Mans, finishing 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 15th against dedicated prototype racing machinery. It was this car that appeared at the Louvre alongside the Atlantic and the GTO, a 1990s hypercar in a room otherwise dominated by pre-war masterpieces. The Louvre's curator chose it not as an outlier, but as a continuation. An argument that the pursuit of perfection through design and engineering did not end in 1965, that it was still happening, that the McLaren F1 LM belonged in the same room as the Bugatti Atlantic because it came from the same impulse. The impulse to make something as good as it can possibly be, regardless of whether anyone tells you to. The collection as an act of preservation. There is a version of collecting that is about accumulation, about owning the most expensive, the most visible. Most celebrity garages operate within that logic. The cars signal wealth, signal taste, signal arrival. Ralph Lauren's collection does something categorically different. His vehicles represent some of the most significant achievements in automotive history. cars that defined eras, set records, and remain the holy grails of the automotive world. The Bugatti Atlantic is not in his garage because it is valuable. It is in his garage because it is irreplaceable, and because he understood that irreplaceable things require people willing to take responsibility for them. He has spent 5 decades doing exactly that, acquiring, restoring, and exhibiting machines that most people will never see, and making sure that the ones who do see them, whether in a Pebble Beach tent or a Louvre gallery, understand what they are standing in front of. This is a concentration of the most significant cars, the Louvre's curator said. Not the most expensive, not the most famous, the most significant. Ralph Lauren's greatest achievement was not owning some of the world's most valuable automobiles. It was understanding, earlier and more clearly than almost anyone, that automobiles could be something worth preserving at all. Subscribe to Directive for more deep dives into the greatest automotive collections in the world, and tell us in the comments, which car from Lauren's collection do you think belongs in a museum?